Hey everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. My name is Mindy Banks. I'm the Flip Flop Chef, and today I'm going to teach you all about sous vide cooking and pressure cooking. If you're new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button while you're here, and also go to theflipflopchef.com. Click on the button at the top to join my recipe community. I have thousands of recipes, as well as a weekly giveaway every single Friday. So I'm really excited to share that I made everything that you see here in Pampered Chef's Deluxe multi-cooker. I used either the sous vide function or the pressure cooker function for all of the recipes that I'm about to share with you. Now, I'm going to go over what I made. I'll tell you what products I used and what setting I used to make it, and then I'm going to give you some details about how to sous vide and some tips on pressure cooking, and there's also a free gift for you guys. Just hang out a little bit longer and I'll let you know how you can access my sous vide and pressure cooking guide. And this is a digital guide that you can download right to your device, and it has links to up to so many recipes, as well as other videos showing you how to use the Deluxe multi-cooker. So let's go ahead and get started because I have so much to share with you guys. As you can see, I have been really busy making all these recipes, and I've made everything right here in this Deluxe multi-cooker. So if you're not familiar with the Deluxe multi-cooker, make sure that you check out my video. I have a couple of them. One of them goes over all the features of the Deluxe multi-cooker. There's also a water test video so that you know how to do the water test as soon as you get your product. But let's dive in a little bit here. So you're gonna see that I have a glass lid on here, and I also have my pressure cooking lid. So whenever you're using this as a slow cooker or sous vide, anything that's not a pressure cooker setting, you can use the glass lid. I like to use the glass lid when I cook sous vide settings because I can see inside and I can make sure that the seal of my bag is above the water. So we'll get to that and why that's important in just a few minutes, but I wanted to point out that the pressure cooker lid can rest on the side of your pressure cooker. So if you're right or left-handed, depending on which side feels better for you, you can prop this lid in either place. I am not using the pressure cooking lid during this video, so I'm going to set it aside just so that it's out of the way. I don't want to knock it off since it was propped up on the multi-cooker. So before we dive into what's in the multi-cooker, because I've got some chicken in here, I'm going to show you how to finish it up. I want to tell you about everything that you see here. So the first recipe that I want to show you is just a cake. So this is a cake made in our pressure cooker fluted cake pan. I should have added a little bit more batter. This one's a little bit short, so you can make it a little bit taller if you want, add a little bit more batter than I did. There's also a couple of cake recipes in the cooking guide or the sous vide guide that I'm going to share with you guys at the end so that you can try other things. Some of them have cheesecake layers, pumpkin layers, flan layers, you name it, and they are beautiful and delicious. I chose to do something super simple. This is just a box cake mix. You can thank Duncan Hines for that. I've got some powdered sugar here in the powdered sugar shaker, and I'm just going to shake some powdered sugar over this, and this is just going to dress it up nicely for when I'm going to serve this. So I'll set this aside, and I do want you to know that this is in our small cool and serve. So if you have our cool and serves, this is the smaller size. I took the insert out, and I don't have any of the frozen mats that keep food cool in here. So it goes right in there. And I also have another one with our cheesecake. So let me set this aside and I'll show you the cheesecake because I'm really excited about this. I haven't tried the cheesecake yet, but I was really tempted to take a slice. So this is another small cool and serve tray. I have our cheesecake in here. The recipe that I used for this is the basic strawberry cheesecake recipe that's in Pampered Chef's quick cooker cooking guide. So if you're like, wait, you said multi-cooker, but now you're talking about a quick cooker. The quick cooker was Pampered Chef's earlier version of the multi-cooker, and all the recipes, everything that you can make in the quick cooker, you can make in the multi-cooker. You can't make every multi-cooker recipe in the quick cooker, but you can make every quick cooker recipe in the multi-cooker. So if you're confused, feel free to ask questions and I'll be more than happy to help you. We do sell the quick cooker guide as a replacement part, so if this is something that you would like to order. And I also have a free digital copy of this in my recipe community. And if you forgot how to find that, go to theflipflopchef.com, click the link at the top, and you'll be able to access all of the files. There's over 30 free digital cookbooks that you can download. So this came from the quick cooker guide. So I used the basic recipe for the strawberry cheesecake. I did make a couple of alterations. Instead of a graham cracker crust, I used pecan sandies. So the shortbread cookies with pecans, I used that for the crust. I did the filling exactly the same way. Then I let it cool, refrigerate overnight, and then I added a layer of pineapple curd That recipe is also in my recipe community, so you can find it there at theflipflopchef.com. Then I put a layer of whipped cream, and then I saved some reserved crust that I used from that pecan shortbread crust. I saved some of the crust so that I could crumble it on the top just to make it look pretty, and if you're a fan of crust like I am, you're gonna love that. So this is also in the small cool and serve, and it has a lid just like the cake, so it makes it really easy, and look, it doesn't hit the top of the cake, so I love that. So that's our cheesecake. And then next up, while we're talking about cool and serves, let's just go ahead and talk about this, because I love that my stoneware pie plate fits in the large cool and serve tray. Now, I did try this with and without the cooling mats, because this is a cold cake, and I thought, well, if I can fit the cooling mats in there, that would be even better, and it does fit. The only issue was the top of my lid actually touched the top of this pie, and since I'm going to be serving this at my house and not transporting it, I decided to just store it in the refrigerator like this. If I was going to take it somewhere, I would put those freezer mats in the bottom just to help it stay colder longer. This is a limoncello pie. So this is a recipe for adults only. This is not something you want to share with the kids because the alcohol has not been cooked out of it. So I used the sous vide setting of the Deluxe multi-cooker to make some limoncello. Limoncello is a liqueur, so if you are not drinking alcohol, then you do not want to make this, but it's very easy to make, and it's so much faster than trying to make it the traditional ways where you just let it sit on the counter for several weeks, sometimes even months. You can do it in a couple of hours in the multi-cooker on the sous vide setting. And I will share all of these recipes with you, so don't worry, you're gonna have access to all of these in my recipe community, okay? So I poured some of this out, obviously, because I cooked with, or I baked our no-bake limoncello pie with this, but I also made some for gifts. So if you would like this label, let me know. I can email it to you. You can print it off and put it on these bottles to give this as gifts. These bottles came from Hobby Lobby, and if you watch for their 50% off sales every week, they have certain products that are 50% off. You can get those for about $1. They're $1.99, and when the glass is 50% off, you can get them for $1. So I like these. They're really great for gift giving. So this is the limoncello that I made for our limoncello pie. So we have a graham cracker crust in this pie, a limoncello mixture, then a powdered sugar, whipped cream. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Whipped cream mixture, and then I just finished it off with some lemon zest. So we can cover this. This is the large cool and serve tray. If you want to include the frozen freezer mats that go in here to keep it cold longer, you can. Just know that the top of your pie is going to touch the top of this lid. However, without the freezer mats, this is not going to be disturbed. All right, let's see if I have room for all this stuff through our video. And I'll put a lot of this back in the refrigerator. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and show you this one because I do need to put this back in the freezer. So this is sous vide ice cream. So if you're going, wait a minute, you're making ice cream in a water bath. And so I'm gonna explain how I use Ziploc bags to make recipes that would usually call for mason jars in Pampered Chef's Deluxe multi-cooker. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but yes, you're going to cook the ice cream base mixture on the sous vide setting, and after it's done, let it cool to room temperature, then put it in the refrigerator. I recommend overnight. It can be in there longer, but I think overnight is really good because you want that mixture to be really cold after you've done the cooking process. And the reason that there's a cooking process is because it's an egg-based ice cream, which those are really the best, but they take a little bit longer to make than your traditional ice cream that just uses heavy cream, milk, and sugar. So you're gonna love this. We did sample this. It is really, really good. And I used vanilla beans in these, and there was actually probably another 8 to 10 ounces that didn't fit in this container. And this container is not Pampered Chef. This is something I found at TJ Maxx years and years ago, but I love it. So this is an ice cream container that I can store homemade ice cream in. I'm gonna put this in the freezer so that it doesn't melt. So hang tight, I'll be right back. All right. So we're moving right along. This recipe is, let me dry my hands, I got a little bit of moisture on there from the ice cream. This is in Pampered Chef's Deluxe multi-cooker cooking guide, and it is the pressure cooker rice pudding. So on page 28, and there is a digital version of this also in my recipe community. So like I said, there is so much content there, you are missing out if you're not a member. So pressure cooker rice pudding, so quick and easy. The cook time on this, the pressure cook time was 3 minutes, and then there was a searing step after that that was about 5 to 7 minutes. Super quick, super easy. The thing that takes the longest is just letting it cool off. You could serve this warm, or you could refrigerate it and serve it cold. That's how I'm going to serve this now, since I did this yesterday. So I'm going to set this aside and show you a couple more things. All right, so I'll show you all of these things because they're kind of out of reach and I don't want to forget about them. So first, let's start with the vanilla extract. So I have shared also in my recipe community how you can make homemade sous vide vanilla extract. There's two ways you can make vanilla extract using the Deluxe multi-cooker. I have an old video from several years ago using the quick cooker showing you how to make your own homemade vanilla extract. For that recipe, I used bourbon. For this recipe, I used the Deluxe multi-cooker and I used vodka. So this is the original bottle with the vodka that I purchased to make the vanilla. You do need vanilla beans to make vanilla. I buy mine on Amazon, and it's important that you get grade B beans, and I do recommend that you get Madagascar vanilla beans. So I'll try and post some links for you guys so that you can see the vanilla that I have purchased in the past. So this filled actually the whole bottle, and so I poured some of this off, just like I did for the limoncello, to give these as gifts. So I did put one vanilla bean in each bottle, and then I left the rest of the beans in with the remaining vanilla. I do recommend that you let your homemade vanilla rest in a cool, dark place like your pantry or a cabinet, not in the refrigerator, for at least 2 weeks before you use it. Not everybody thinks you have to do that, but I don't want it to have that super strong flavor of alcohol when I first start using it. I don't mind that after a little bit of time, so it's up to you. You can use it right away, or you can let it sit for a couple weeks and then start using it. So this is how you make, or this is the sous vide vanilla, sous vide vodka. No, sous vide vanilla with vodka. I am losing my train of thought. I got too many things in my brain to tell you guys. All right, so I'm gonna set these aside, and then I'm gonna talk to you about this. So just like you guys, sometimes I try recipes that don't turn out the way that I expected them to turn out. This is one of them. So I love making yogurt in my Deluxe multi-cooker. So let's talk about that, because I do have yogurt here. So I love making yogurt, and this is vanilla yogurt. I like to make it from the cold start method rather than having to heat the milk up and cooling it down. This is just a super easy way to make yogurt by using the cold start method. I have videos showing you how to do that both in the quick cooker and the Deluxe multi-cooker. So that's what this is here, and you can see that you've got really nice, thick yogurt. I have been using, for the multi-cooker, I've been going 10 hours on the yogurt setting on a medium setting versus I think I did 8 before with the quick cooker. But I like it of the thickness that I'm getting from 10 hours. So that's kind of why I switched up. This was supposed to be alternative milk yogurt, so not cow's milk. So I made a homemade almond nut milk, and I used Pampered Chef's Deluxe cooking blender. I have videos showing you how to do that as well. I used a homemade nut milk. I used, this is the starter I used. So I did use a dairy starter, but you only need a couple of tablespoons when you're making yogurt. If you wanted to start with something completely non-dairy, then you would probably want to buy a store-bought almond yogurt that you already like the flavor of. Making yogurt, especially not from a cold start method, but from a heating and cooling method, the traditional way to make yogurt, it's kind of a science. And so mine turned out more like kefir rather than yogurt, and so it's just not thick enough to be yogurt. However, you're never going to achieve the thickness that you can get with this kind of yogurt when you're making it with an alternative milk. So I will probably practice this again and try it maybe with coconut milk, store-bought coconut milk. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted on that, but this will be great for smoothies. It tastes great. It just wasn't thick like I wanted it to be. And I did add tapioca flour or tapioca powder starch. I think it has different names, but it's all the same thing, to hopefully thicken it up. And I did that before the proofing happened, and this was heated up, cooled down, and then put in the Deluxe multi-cooker. I have the recipe to show you how to do this, but like I said, sometimes things don't turn out the way that we hope that they will, and this is one of those times that it didn't go the way I was expecting. Okay, moving right along, because I still have so much to share with you guys. I made crème brûlée. So here's a great opportunity for me to tell you how to make things that usually call for using mason jars if you're going to be using a sous vide machine. So Pampered Chef does not approve of using mason jars in our Deluxe multi-cooker because it's not been tested. And there's so many different brands of mason jars out there, so we don't approve of that. You can use products that Pampered Chef sells that we do approve of. So there's a couple of ways that you could make things that would normally be put in a glass jar and put into the sous vide function. You can use Ziploc bags, or you can use our silicone, reusable silicone bags. For a lot of things, I go with the Ziploc, and I'll tell you why, because it's thinner and sometimes it's easier to squeeze them out. And so for the creme brulee, I cooked the mixture, so I mixed everything up in a bowl and I transferred it into a Ziploc bag, and I used some pie weights. So let me show you. So Pampered Chef does approve of using pie weights to help weigh down the bags that are in your multi-cooker. They come in a little box like this. There's a link for this in my recipe community as well. I just put them in this snack size Ziploc bag, and then you put the bag of pie weights in a larger bag. And then you have two choices. You could just put the food in here, but then you're gonna have a dirty pie weight bag. So I use a second freezer bag. So you could probably reuse the outer bag, but I wouldn't use it more than twice because it does change. You can tell the difference in the feel of the bags when they've been in there for an extended period of time. You can take another bag, put it inside, and then pour your liquid mixture in there, and then place the whole thing in your Deluxe multi-cooker to cook it. And so for the creme brulee, I was able to make 4 of these cups, and these are 1 cup size cups. They're not filled to the top. They're probably 3/4 of a cup full. And you cook the mixture in the bag, and then you transfer it from the bag into these prep bowls. So these are glass prep bowls. They're tempered glass, and so that's really important since we're going to be using a torch. So I did add sugar on the top after I refrigerated these overnight. So you sous vide the mixture, transfer it to your prep bowls, let them cool down, put them in the refrigerator at least overnight. When you're ready to serve them, put the sugar on the top, take a blowtorch. I recommend a kitchen torch. You can get them relatively cheap on Amazon, and just torch the top so that you have this caramelized top. Now I did this a couple hours ago, and so it's had time to kind of sit, and it's not quite as crunchy anymore, but I did that for the purpose of it looking great on camera and also for pictures. So that is creme brulee, and made that the exact same way that I did the ice cream base that we talked about earlier. So for the ice cream, I did the same thing. I put the pie weights in a small bag, put those in the bigger bag, placed another big bag in here, poured the ice cream mixture in, and then cooked it in the sous vide, okay? Now, the next thing I want to show you guys, let me move this out of the way here, is egg bites. So you can make sous vide egg bites just like you would buy at Starbucks, but it's going to cost you so much less. Ooh, let me move this out of the way here. I don't want to drop that. All right, so much cheaper to make your own sous vide egg bites at home using the multi-cooker. So you can also use our egg bite molds on the egg setting or custom setting, which are pressure cooker settings. They're going to turn out a lot taller than these. So I'll just pick one of these up so that you can see. These have spinach, red bell pepper, and sharp white cheddar cheese. So that's what I put in these. Made them kind of a vegetarian option. I'm not a huge breakfast meat eater, and so I would prefer this without meat myself. So you can refrigerate these and reheat them in the microwave, or you can reheat them in the air fryer, or your oven is fine too. The air fryer is way faster. So, all right, let's see. I've got to make room because I'm going to show you guys how to finish off the sous vide in just a little bit. All right, so I think we are winding down. I'm making sure that nothing's out of sight that I haven't been able to show you yet. This is chocolate pudding, and this is delicious. I remember the first time I made this, we'd had the quick cooker for probably 6 months before I made it, and I thought, why did I wait so long to make this? I mean, chocolate pudding, you think, oh, it's just chocolate pudding. No, it is amazing chocolate pudding, and that recipe is also in the quick cooker cooking guide. So chocolate pudding, the quick cooker cooking guide, the digital copies in my recipe community, or you can purchase it on my website. And the guide that I'm going to give you guys, the digital guide, has links to all the products I'm going to show you, all the recipes that I've talked about, and so much more. So this is chocolate pudding. This is made in the ceramic pot, which gives you the ability to do pot-in-pot cooking. If you don't know what that is, it's where you take a smaller pot and you put it inside of a bigger pot. You elevate it on, let me show you. where is it hiding? Oh, it's right here. So you would put, let's just pretend for a minute. I have another video on my channel showing you this recipe, so we'll use it as an example. You would put your chicken mixture in the bottom of the pot, the bigger pot, the inner pot, and then you would place this trivet right on top of that chicken mixture. And then you would place the ceramic pot inside of this really cool cradle. And the cradle sits on top of the little trivet. And then you're gonna put this silicone lid that has venting holes on the top of this. And you would put rice in here. So you could put chicken on the bottom, rice on the top. Another example is you could do potatoes on the bottom and a meatloaf in the ceramic pot. You have so many choices for the pot-in-pot cooking. You just wanna make sure that both recipes have the same cooking time or very close to the same cooking time, because you can't take one out and leave the other one in. So they all need to be done at the same time. So the cradle is also used for our springform pan, and I didn't mention this earlier, but this is the pan that I used to make our cheesecake. And so the base of this pan is still underneath my cheesecake, so that's why it's not on here, but it fits in the trivet just like this. So you put water in the bottom of the inner pot, you put the stand in there, you put your cheesecake pan or your ceramic pot on the stand, and then it's going to steam and cook just like it was in the oven, and it is amazing. So you guys are going to love all the features. Now, I do have a quick cooker class and a pressure cooker 1-in-1 class that I use the quick cooker in. Everything that I teach you in those videos, you can use and apply in the Deluxe multi-cooker. So let's see. I think I've showed you all the food. Let me show you a couple of other fun things that I think that you will want to have. So I showed you the silicone lid that has the venting holes. So this is the one that you're going to use when you're cooking in the ceramic pot. We have a set of 3 stretch fit silicone lid covers. This is the same size as this one. It does have a venting hole that you can use if you needed it, but I like this because it's just a storage lid as well. And so you can just slide this over the top and store this in the refrigerator until you're ready to use it. And I do recommend serving this with whipped cream. So very good. So let me set that aside. Actually, I'm going to move this around a little bit here. And then we're going to talk more about sous vide and pressure cooking. And then I'm going to show you how to finish off the chicken that I've got here in the sous vide right now. Okay, so are you guys all still with me? Give me some thumbs up in the comments. Let me know if you're still with me, because I know I'm covering so much information. The really cool thing is I'm recording this so that you can go back and you can watch it again later. Share this with your friends. Anybody who pressure cooks, has the Deluxe multi-cooker or Pampered Chef's quick cooker, they're gonna want this information. So let me go ahead and tell you about my sous vide pressure cooking and more cooking guide. So this is a printed version, but it's not meant to be printed. It's meant to be used and accessed online, because there are a ton of links in this booklet. But I'm gonna kind of go over a little bit of it with you as my folder breaks here. So there's a page on getting to know your multi-cooker, which we're gonna talk about that here in a few minutes. The sous vide accessories that you might wanna add, there's gonna be links to that. There's pressure cooker accessories so that you can purchase those to use this on the pressure cooker settings. We have replacement parts, and I'm gonna talk to you about some of those in a few minutes. We have other product suggestions like the pie weights, the replacement guide for the quick cooker. There are links to all of Pampered Chef's blog posts that are using the pressure cooker or the sous vide settings. I have a whole bunch of videos that I've done on my YouTube channel, and I've linked 6 or 8 of them in this digital file. And there's 30 recipes as of the recording of this. This will make video number 31 for the pressure cooking and sous vide. I also have 3 pages, or maybe 4 pages of recipes that will link you to my Pampered Chef website. You can try all of those. I have more tips and then information about my recipe community, but just check this out. So I'll just flip through here because it'll just be easier. So I'll zoom in so that you guys can kind of get an idea. So on this first page, you're going to get to know your sous vide, your Deluxe multi-cooker. We're going to go over a lot of this. There are a whole page of sous vide accessories, whole page of pressure cooker accessories, whole page of replacement parts, an entire page of other suggestions that I have for you, all the blog posts that I mentioned, links to many of the YouTube videos, and if you click the link at the bottom of this, you're going to have access to all 30 of them. And then I have page after page after page of recipes, and then this is just some quick tips, and this I don't want to forget to go over, so I'm actually going to tell you about those in just a second, and then information about how you can shop with me and also how you can access all of my recipes. So let's just talk a little bit more about sous vide. So plan for 35 to 45 minutes for your water to come to the correct temperature. So there's a water bath in here. So when you're ready to sous vide, you're gonna fill this either with 7 cups of water to make the egg bites, follow the recipe instructions, or fill it to that halfway mark when you're gonna be using the sous vide feature for most everything else. So it takes 35 to 45 minutes to get the water bath to the right temperature. The first time, it might actually take up to an hour. So just hang tight, plan for some patience the first time that you do this. And then when you're using the sous vide setting, I'm gonna show you what I have done right now. So add more time than it actually takes. That way, if you're not ready to finish it off, perfect example is this chicken's been ready for about 30 minutes, but I wasn't ready for it, and so it's still maintaining the temperature. So Pampered Chef says that you can maintain the temperature for up to 2 hours more than it actually takes to cook it. So the cool thing about sous vide, which we haven't really talked about what sous vide is. Sous vide means under vacuum. It means you're cooking food in a vacuum sealed bag submerged in water, okay? So your food cooks to a very precise temperature, and you set the temperature when you turn on your multi-cooker. You're gonna tell it what temperature to cook your food. And once it reaches that temperature, it won't cook anymore. So it's amazing, it will hold that temperature. So my tip is set the timer way longer than you need it, and then you can just set a timer on your phone, or you can use Pampered Chef's timer so that you know when it's actually done. But that just so that you make sure you get through that minimum cooking time. And the other cool thing is I'm gonna actually make another batch of this chicken. And so I don't wanna have to wait for it to like reprogram and bring that water back up to the right temperature. So I set this for 10 hours. It only takes 2.5, excuse me, wait, let's see, where's my, is it 2 or 2.5? I want to make sure I tell you guys right. 2 to 4 hours. So see, something got in my brain and I was questioning what I was telling you. The chicken needs 2 hours, but you can cook it up, leave it in there for up to 4 hours so that it will be ready when you're ready, because you do need to sear the meat after you cook it in sous vide, because sous vide meat doesn't look very appealing to the eye when it's first done in the water bath. You want to give it that sear. So I'm going to show you how to do that in just a few minutes, but plan to add more time. Another tip, if you're making the egg bites, so let me go ahead and show you our egg bite mold here. So to sous vide egg bites, you need less water than what we're using for meats. Meats is half full. The egg bites are 7 cups of water. So you actually measure out 7 cups of water, put it in your multi-cooker, set the temperature, set the time, and you're ready to go. But egg bites take 90 minutes to make, and this is our egg bite mold. And let's say you wanted to do several batches back to back. I know a lot of people who cook all day on Sunday so that they have the food for the week. And so if that's something that you do, or if you have, maybe you have more than 7 people that want an egg bite in your family, or maybe somebody wants more than one. You can make these back to back, but the key is to set the temperature, or excuse me, the time way longer than the 90 minutes that it takes to cook these. So I made a batch, the batch of egg bites that I showed you guys a few minutes ago. I made them this morning. First thing I did this morning when I got up, I put the water in here, turned it on to the temperature that I wanted, set it for, I think I did 6 hours, because I thought, well, if it's not ready for me, or if I'm not ready for it when it's ready for me, I can just press the add button and it's gonna maintain the temperature, and then I can add the egg bites when I'm ready to go. So then you're gonna add your egg bites, your mixture into the egg bite mold, place it in this little cradle, and then you lower this down inside of your multi-cooker, and the water does not cover the lid. So if you cover this with water, then you're going to damage your recipe, because this is not a watertight lid. But it's not meant to be, because the water only needs to come up to the rim here, okay? So it's going to be submerged in water up to the bottom of that lid. And you can take your first batch out, and if you have a second egg bite mold, you can have it ready to go in as soon as you take the first one out, and it doesn't have to start over to heat that water bath, because you made the time way longer. I am certain that I am confusing you guys on a few of these things. Just know when you use your multi-cooker and you use the sous vide feature, you're gonna learn this as you go, and you can go back and watch this video as many times as you need to. Now, once you start cooking with the sous vide function, especially with meat, you are going to never want to cook meat any other way, because the results are just incredible. And so you'll get to see that when we do the chicken here in just a little bit. Couple more tips. We did not test this with frozen foods, so we recommend, if you're cooking with frozen foods, to use a pressure cooker setting. There are 16 pre-programmed settings, and if you don't know which ones are pressure cooker settings, just look on the inside of page 4, we have, it breaks it all down for you. There's a whole list of pressure cooker settings. There's a sear setting, slow cook setting, sous vide setting, and yogurt setting. So lots of different things. Frozen food should be pressure cooked, but for sous vide, you want to use fresh or thawed meat. All right, let's see. Use Ziploc brand freezer bags. I can't remember if I mentioned this. I know I talked about the Ziploc bags, but these are gallon size Ziploc brand freezer bags. This is the brand and the type of bag that Pampered Chef recommends that you use. So I want to make sure that you guys understand that that's important to use those. Or you can use Pampered Chef's silicone reusable bags. All 3 of these will fit and can be used inside of the Deluxe multi-cooker. When I do the limoncello and when I do the vanilla, and I've also done another blackberry vodka, I believe, I use the orange bag. So you can use this to sous vide, same thing, just make sure, just like the Ziploc, that you seal this tightly and that the seal is above the water. So we have 3 sizes. This is the large, this is the medium, and this is the small. I have not used these 2 sizes in the sous vide yet, but you can, you just would want to make sure that the water level doesn't go above the seal. So not sure what recipes you would use that for. All right, let's see. Here's a tip for when you're pressure cooking. So if you want to speed up the process, pressure cooking can take, it's a quick way of cooking, but the pressurizing takes a little bit of time. The more food that's in the pot, the longer it's going to take to pressurize the food and then start cooking it. So I like to start with a hot pot rather than a cold pot. So to do that, I put a little oil inside of the inner pot and turn it on the sear setting so that it's like a skillet or something on the stove top. Put a little oil in there so that the food that you're adding to the pot doesn't stick to the bottom of that pot. Then you can add all of your ingredients, and then by the time you have everything in there, you probably already have a lot of steam. Then you're going to put your pressure cooker lid on, which is the one I set aside, just so you know you're not using a glass lid for the pressure cooker setting, okay? Put your pressure cooker lid on, and your food will cook 50 to 75% faster when you start with a hot pot versus a cold pot, or it'll pressurize 50 to 75% faster. So that's just another little tip, and all of those tips are listed in the digital guide that I am going to share with you guys. So if you would like that, make sure you join my recipe community and you'll be able to find that there. So if you have any questions at any point during the video, just leave them in the comments and I'll be more than happy to help you. I do want to show you a couple of other things that I recommend that you get for your pressure cooker, because these are going to make things just easier for you. Let's see, I want to make sure I have everything in front of me. Okay, so I recommend that you have either of these 2 or both of these products. So these are our microwave grips. The microwave grips are great if you need to, so this lid, let's see, it's warm, but it's not too hot for me to handle. If this was cooking on a pressure cooker setting, the inside of this bowl, and this one's warm, but it's not hot enough to burn me. But pressure cooking, it's going to be really, really hot because it actually boils inside. These are going to make it great for you to pull that pot out or to hold on to it while you're stirring something. So these are microwave grips. I recommend those. And these are mini oven mitts. So these cover more of your hands. I feel like I have more flexibility when I use those because these are wider and it makes it a little bit harder to handle. But either one is fine. And when you're reaching into your inner pots to take something out, like these steamer baskets, you could reach in with these and it's going to cover more of your hand. So I like the option of having both of them because using them at different times does make a little bit of a difference, and also taking out the cradles with the pot and pot cooking, or if you were using the ceramic pot or the springform pan. Okay, so these, let's talk about the steamer baskets. I actually didn't cook anything in these today, but I like these. You could use them on their own, so individually, or you can use them at the same time. So not sure if you can see, but when you have these stacked, you've got several inches of space in the bottom so that you could actually steam 2 different foods at the same time. So if you wanted to do, say, shrimp in one basket, vegetables in the other, you could do that. Or maybe you want to do some of the Asian dumplings. You could put those in one and put vegetables in the other. So you can get really creative with how you use these. And these also make really great colanders just to use in the sink. So even if you're not cooking with them, and I like the little handle. So it's great for rinsing your berries and other fruits and vegetables. So this is our steamer baskets. Now, why do I have an extra pot here? So I actually have several of these because I like to be able to maximize my cooking, right? So for the example, to make the food that you guys see here, it's taken me about 3 days to cook all of this to get ready for this video. And when I make yogurt, the yogurt stays in this pot to refrigerate. And so I didn't want to have this pot completely out of commission and not have anything else to use. And so if you are going to be making yogurt, I do recommend having that, or a plan where you're not going to need the multi-cooker at another time. I ran this for like 36 hours straight because I made yogurt during the night. So this thing gets like so much work out here. We also have these stretch fit lids. I showed you the one earlier for the chocolate pudding, which is in the ceramic pot. That was the small one. This is the medium one, and this set also comes with the large. They do have a venting lid here, so if you need to open that to vent the lid, you can. But when I make my yogurt, I take it out of the pressure cooker, and I put this lid on it, and I put this in the refrigerator, and I leave it overnight. So I like having an extra bowl for that. It's also great if you are one of those people who preps all their food 1 day a week so that they have food for the whole week. The benefit of having an extra pot is you can get another recipe ready to go in your second pot while your first recipe is cooking in the inner pot that's in the pressure cooker, okay? So it just means that when this one's done, you can take this out, put this in, and it just gives you, it makes you more efficient and it saves you so much time. So that's why I have more than one pot, and we do sell this as a replacement part, and the link for that is in the guide that you can access in my recipe group. All right, let's see. I also want to show you the fluted pan that I used for the chocolate cake that I showed you guys earlier. It comes with its own little stand, so you're not going to use the pan by itself. You're going to use this with this little, you're not going to use the pan with the stand, without the stand. So you take this stand, you've got your cake in here, you know, spray this or brush it with oil, pour your cake mix in, place this on top of this little carrier. You're going to put your water in the inner pot and lower this down inside of that pot so that you can cook this. So some of the desserts cook on a custom setting, some of them are on the dessert setting. So just follow the instructions based on the recipe that you're making. I also recommend that you purchase an extra seal. We do sell these, and make sure you know which one is for savory foods and one for non-savory, so like desserts and yogurt. You can do everything with one seal, but you have to make sure that you get it really, really clean so that it doesn't have any taste from, let's say, the Southwest chicken that I have in here. You don't want your yogurt to taste like taco seasoning, okay? And so I just have two, and I just keep the one for desserts in a cabinet or a drawer, and the one that's with my multi-cooker all the time is for my savory stuff because I make more savory than I do desserts. Another thing is these can wear out over time. I will say I've had my quick cooker for years, however long we sold that product before we upgraded to the multi-cooker, and I've never replaced a seal because as long as you take care of it, you keep it clean. If it starts to get loose, and you'll know when you're putting it in the lid, if it's starting to get loose, you can just put this piece in the freezer for 30 minutes and it will actually help it shrink up a little bit. So take care of your seals, wash them regularly, keep them in good shape, and you're probably not going to need replacements very often. But get a second one so that you have one for savory and one for non-savory. All right, let's see. I almost always forget to tell you guys something. So hopefully I'll remember if there's anything I need to tell you before we finish up today. We're about to finish up the sous vide chicken. So I want to show you guys, these are the two cooking guides. You're going to get this cooking guide with your Deluxe multi-cooker. This is a replacement part right now. They do still have these available at the time of recording. I don't know how long we'll carry these, but there's a digital copy of this in my recipe community for the quick cooker cooking guide. All of these recipes can be made in the multi-cooker. So I hope that those recipes will help you get started. But let's go ahead and finish up our sous vide chicken. So let me move a few things around here because I'm going to need to sear this. So I've got some, what oil did I pick today? Garlic oil. I use the Southwest seasoning for my my chicken. I lost my train of thought, you guys. Like I said, my brain is like totally full. And let me get our knife, tongs, and I have a fork because I want to show you guys how juicy and tender this is. Okay, so what we're going to do first, I'm going to take take a couple paper towels. I'm gonna place them in my skillet. I do not have this burner on, by the way. And I'm gonna take out our chicken from the sous vide. I'm gonna leave the timer on. I'm gonna leave the multi-cooker on because I want the water bath to maintain its temperature, because I'm gonna do another batch of this chicken for tonight. So this is the glass lid. So I'm gonna take that off, set it aside. You can use your hands or you can use your tongs. Just know that this was heated up to like 145 degrees, I think. But look, you're gonna notice that the seal is still above the water. And so I'm just gonna pull this out, try to shake off any excess there. And you can see all this chicken broth. All I put in here was the chicken, and I seasoned it just with a little bit of olive oil and some of Pampered Chef's Southwest seasoning. So I'm gonna use my tongs. If you haven't seen these, they're gravity controlled. So they point them up, they close, point them down and squeeze, and they open. And I want to dry off this meat. So I don't know if you guys can see. Let me give you a closer look. Hang on. Oh, there we go. So they kind of look gross when you first take them out. And that's another reason why you want to sear them. You want it to look pretty, and I can guarantee you it's gonna taste pretty. You can eat it right here. You don't have to do anything else, but we do recommend that you sear it. You could use this chicken broth for something else if you like. I'm just gonna set it aside. And I've got my chicken. Let me get a couple of paper towels for the top. You wanna dry it so that you get a nice sear on your meat. So I'm gonna set this on here, and then we're gonna heat up our skillet. So I'm going to turn this on, turn it on medium, and I'm gonna add a little bit of Pampered Chef's garlic infused oil. A tablespoon or so. You don't wanna add so much that it splashes. I can see myself knocking that off the other side of the counter. All right, this is just beeping because I picked up the pan off the burner. This is also an induction cooktop, and so it only works with the pan on it. It won't heat up otherwise. So this is a Southwestern seasoning mix. I'm gonna be using this chicken to make Southwest chicken tacos. And so what I'm gonna do is just transfer the chicken into the heated pan, and you're gonna sear them for a couple minutes. Let me turn it on high for a second, get it a little hotter. And I'm going to put my lid back on my multi-cooker just so that I can maintain the temperature of the water bath. Okay, so hopefully you guys can hear this sizzling a little bit. So what we're going to do is I want this to sear a couple minutes on each side. And once I do that, I'm going to take them out. I'll put them on my cutting mat. Now I do want to tell you guys what recipe I followed. So let me find the right page number. I'm gonna turn this down to medium now because I got it nice and hot. Okay, so we have sous vide, whoops, wrong direction. We have sous vide cooking charts in our cooking guide so that you guys can see exactly what temperature to cook your food. So I looked here, so we have a section for beef, burgers, steak, and it says New York strip, ribeye, sirloin, or T-bone. Tenderloin, so beef tenderloin. Then we have a pork section, pork chops, pork ribs, pork tenderloin, and then there's a chicken section, breast, bone-in or boneless, thighs, bone-in or boneless. And let me go ahead and flip these. Yeah, see, I'm already getting that nice brown color. So for bone-in or boneless chicken breast, so these are boneless chicken breast. I looked at the temperature. You have three choices. So 145, 150, or 155. Now you're thinking, okay, well, chicken needs to cook to like 165 to be completely done. Well, guess what? When you sear your food, it's going to reach that higher temperature. If you're going to skip the searing setting, go ahead and increase the temperature on your multi-cooker just a little bit so that it's ready to eat as soon as you take it out of there. But I chose, so there's three, it has the doneness, descriptions of the doneness that you want. And so unlike steak, where you have rare, medium, medium well, and well done, this is incredibly juicy and tender, so very juicy and tender, and so juicy. So those are the three choices that you have for doneness. I want it to be incredibly juicy and tender. I'm gonna check this, make sure that it's not getting too brown. I'll flip that one back. All right, I chose incredibly juicy and tender. tender, and that's the lowest temperature, 145 degrees. The cook time is 2 to 4 hours according to this guide. Just remember, when you are using Pampered Chef's cooking guide, it's going to tell you a time frame. 2 to 4 can be confusing because 4 hours is a whole lot longer than 2, but what it's saying is it's going to be done after 2 hours. But you can leave it in the water bath up to 4 hours and it's going to be perfectly fine, okay? So let's go ahead and check this out. I think we're about ready to take these out of the pan. And you can cook them as long as you want to get that nice, the brownness that you want. I'm going to turn this off and I'm going to take one of these pieces of chicken, transfer it to my cutting board. And by the way, this is my 12-inch nonstick stainless skillet. This is my favorite cookware. I'll use it every time over everything else if I have choices. And this is our regular size cutting board. So we have a bar board, a cutting board, and then we have a large groove cutting board. These are polyethylene. I've had these for, oh gosh, 15 years or more. They're dishwasher safe, and as long as you wash them in the dishwasher, they shouldn't hold stains. Sometimes you may need to use bleach, depending on what you might have cooked on it, but rarely have I ever had to do that. All right, so first, as I'm cutting into this, you can see how tender, oops, this piece is coming apart, how tender this chicken is. And so you can slice this however way you want. You could put this in the batter bowl. You could use salad choppers, whatever you like to chop this chicken. So I'm actually going to use this on a Southwest chicken salad. And so I'm going to use the salad choppers off camera to chop this up. But let me show you. Look at how perfect this chicken is. And so there's no pink, it's completely cooked, it's incredibly tender, and like I said earlier, once you start cooking meat on a sous vide setting, you're going to want to cook everything on a sous vide setting. So a few things that I've done so far, I've done steaks, they turned out amazing. I did a 24-hour chuck roast, so I cooked it for 24 hours in the multi-cooker, and it came out very similar to prime rib. It was super soft, super tender, it was amazing. One of the things I did this week that I've been blown away by is turkey breast tenderloins. They were so good. I went back and bought another package of them at the store because I had a hard time finding them, and then they had them, so I thought I'm gonna go get another one because everybody in my family ate them and raved about it. In fact, Christian took some of that leftover turkey in his lunch today for school. So there are so many things you can make. So I've talked about, I've done a chuck roast, steak, I did a beef brisket, and I'm pretty sure I cooked that one for 24 hours also. And that one, rather than searing it in a pan, you actually roast it in the oven for a couple hours after that. I couldn't believe how good that brisket was. You can also use this for larger cuts of meat. You may just need to cut them into smaller pieces, and sometimes you may need to use more than one Ziploc bag. So it is okay to put multiple bags in here. If you're gonna do that, you probably definitely will need to use the pie weights to hold that bottom bag down so that the other bag has room. And if you are putting this in, I think it's if you put more than 5 pounds of meat in, you need to take just a little bit of water out. So fill it about an inch below that half fill line, or you may have to ladle out water to make sure that it doesn't go above that max fill once you add the food. So sous vide takes a long time, but the results are so worth it, and it's mostly hands-off time. So the only hands-on time I had was putting the chicken in the Ziploc bag, putting it in the water bath, and then I walked away for about almost 3 hours, I think, and then came back, took it out, dried it off, seared it in the pan, and then it's ready to chop, cut, eat, however way you want to serve it. And you could do lots of chicken at one time for the whole week. You could use it for casseroles, you could use it in salads, however way you want to serve it. That's one of the things that I love about this, is you can make a large portion and use it for several different recipes. So I think I have shared everything with you. I am looking around because I always hate when I go off camera and I see something that I meant to share and can't go back and add it to the video. But I hope that this is helpful for you. I know this is a longer video than I normally have for you guys, but I've had so many questions about how to sous vide, how to pressure cook, what recipes are good, and so I wanted to share this with you guys. I hope it's helpful. Please share this with your friends. If you're in Facebook groups that you want to share this in, that's fine too. But make sure that you go to theflipflopchef.com, click the button at the top so you can join my recipe community to have access to all of these recipes, thousands more, over 30 free downloadable cookbooks, and my Flip Flop Friday weekly giveaway. And there's no strings attached to that giveaway. All you have to do is leave a comment, and if I draw your name, you win, and I mail you your prize. So thank you guys so much for being here with me today. Let me know how I can help you use your multi-cooker to the fullest. That's all I have for you today, but I will see you soon. Take care.